apparently $20 IM wars will not end soon. So hello and welcome to Aftersound Review, and this is my review for another $20 IM that's just been hyped and just recently coming into the scene. And this is the SGOR Venus, or I will just say it's Gore Venus. It's using only a single dynamic driver and it's gaining a lot of hype around me. So I'm really intrigued how will they perform against some of the already hyped good IM at $20 price point. So just like usual, I will break down this review from the build, fit, frequency response, sound, and comparison. Well, build quality wise is really normal for this price point. I mean, you just take a look at this IM. It's made mostly on plastic, and you get the unique thing is there's a little vent hole around this area, but the overall presentation is mostly similar to the IMs around this price point. It's mostly made of metal, and the cable itself is dual pin connector, but it's quite unique. It's not the usual QDC Type C like the KZ or CCA, but the cable is really similar to the KZ or CCA at this price point. Wise, I also have no problem using them for hours because for me it's a very safe fit, just like the usual CCA, KZ, or even TRN at this price point. It just all feels the same in terms of build and ergonomy. Now getting to the frequency response of this IM, it definitely shows that this IM falls into V-shaped category, but it's a very even V-shape, so it's not all like the mountain and hills V-shape, you know, the ones with the strange frequency response. It's mostly even from the base area, and then there's definitely a recession around the mid-range area. After that, it's steadily growing. It's steadily emphasized on the upper mid to treble region. Bass is the first thing that I feel when I'm hearing this IM, because this IM has definitely a good bass punch that goes deep. Also, it has a large amount of quantity, so I will say that this IM will provide good bass quantity for those who like bassy music like EDMs and pop music. Also, even though you are maybe a basshead, I will say that it will provide your needs. It's just a really good overall, an all-rounder kind of bass. But I will say though that in terms of speed, I think that this amp is not really well suited for metal or rock music with double pedals like that. I feel that the DK is more on the a little bit slower side, so it's not really tight in that department. Mid-range is what I feel to be lacking from this IM, because here's the thing. As you can see that in the frequency response, the emphasized is mostly on the bass area. Then it's a big bass in what I hear. It's a big bold bass that sounds forward, and after that the mid-range is almost the emphasis is not there. It's mostly on the upper mid-range to treble region. So when you hear vocal from this IM, it is mostly on the upper mid-range region, but it's still on the positioning. When in terms of positioning, the vocal, even though it's mostly on the upper mid-range, is still a little bit step behind the bass and also treble. So the treble and bass is the thing that you will focus the most, while the mid-range feels kind of squashed, because in terms of positioning, it's a step back and it's also quite sound thin. With the bass and treble being energetic, the vocal feels kind of squashed, especially when I'm hearing some energetic music, some like the One OK Rock, Renegades, or Let Me Let You Go. I feel that the vocal is a little bit squashed. It is a little bit thin and also lacking in emphasis. Treble is, even though it is emphasized, and it's one of the things that you will realize the most when you're hearing this IM aside from the bass, I feel that the treble is also, even though it's emphasized, but I feel that the treble is a little bit on the rough side, so it's not really smooth in texture. It feels a little bit rough and uneven, but the overall presence and clarity is there. So when you hear some violins, it sounds clear, but it doesn't sound natural, at least for me. So yeah, even though it's clear, it sounds kind of unnatural for me. I don't really like it, to be honest. Now, yeah, the tonal isn't the thing that I would say that it's good about this IM. The tonal is generally it's a V shape, not a bad V shape, but at least for me it still sounds quite uneven, and especially that vocal, I don't really like the vocal. It feels kind of squashed. But the thing that I feel that this IM has better compared to its competitors, it's somehow the technical. I feel that it somehow has the best separation, and also that's the best, like, because it has that contrast kind of sound, so it will make that this IM as if it has its own woofer, its own subwoofer here. The bass and the treble, it's really contrast in sound. So it feels like it has its own dedicated woofer, even though it's using only single dynamic driver. So in terms of separation, somehow I feel that this I am giving you better separation compared to the Salmo 0, 2, or the CCACR A+. I feel that this IM has more depth dimension, and also that just feels this IM has a little bit better of grand feeling to it. It's more rounded in terms of staging. But that being said, I feel that this IM is definitely not a class leading IM at its price point. Because let's talk about this IM costs around $20 here. And if you want to get a much better technicality, you just buy an IM that costs maybe around $50 price point, like the Celesco Miho KZS16 Pro, or maybe HG Sound Hard Mirror. It just will give you better sense of clarity, much better in different class rather than this IM. So if you want something more in the technical side, you go buy that kind of IM. So even though I feel that this IM is good and technical, but it wouldn't be the best selling point from this IM. Because if you want something simply better, just save a little bit more and buy those IM that I've mentioned before. That being said, even though I realize, yeah, might be one of the best technical around its price point, but personally, I don't really like it. Now, how is it compared to some IMs that I've reviewed before? I'm not gonna say Chu or Sound Zero. It's definitely different because Sound Zero and Chu is more on the neutral side. It doesn't have as big bass as this. So comparing to another bassy IM that I have and I have reviewed before, like the KKZ HBB. Well, the KKZ HBB has more thickness in the bass and feels kind of slower a bit, but it's more matured tuning in terms of mid and treble region. It feels more tamed down and also definitely smoother. I hear no peaky that I feel from this IM, because in some songs I feel that the score finish is a little bit peaky and also giving sibilance, while in the KKZ HBB I heard none of that. It's really smooth, but in the KKZ HBB it somehow feels a little bit darker compared to the Scorfinus, because simply Scorfinus has more quantity in terms of treble area. And compared to the other IM that I have around this price point that also sounds kind of V-shaped, the CCA Plus, just like the frequency response show, somehow the CCA Plus is a little bit similar to the Scorfinus, but it has more mid-range. In terms of mid-range presence, when I'm hearing music with a lot of energetic kind of song, like the One OK Rock, I feel that I could hear more not treble. I could hear more mid-range. I could hear what the vocal is saying more from the CCA Plus. While the Scorfinus, like I said, it's more squashed because the mid-range isn't there. The mid-range is not emphasized, it's not forward, but the treble and bass is mostly forward. But even though they have both a V-shaped-ish kind of signature, but I simply feel that the CRA Plus, even though it doesn't have the same level of depth and separation as the Scorfinus, but I simply feel more mid-range in the CCA Plus. So if you ask me which one that I like the better, I will definitely say that for a V-shaped kind of IM, I still prefer the CCA CRA Plus. Well, when it comes to my overall score, here you go. This is my final score for the tonality, and this is for the technical, and this is for my final rank. Well, maybe for now it stays on that rank, but it will be changed definitely in case of there's more technology advancement or simply change in my benchmark. If you're interested in looking at my IAM ranking list, you can see in the description below, and if you have any question, please write down in the comments. See you next time. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.